Hello. By request, I'll be analyzing Lucia Ferrato, a well-known TikToker whose online popularity has made her a recognizable figure on social media. As usual, I'll start with the measurements from the front. First off, her facial thirds are balanced with roughly 35, 35, 30% split. Her lower third sits at 30.5%, which is feminine, but you will see that the main issues with her face are there. Next is her total face shape, which is in the ideal range as it is 1.34. Her mid-face ratio is also perfect at 1.04. One of her flaws is that her FWHR is slightly low as it is 1.85. This is probably due to her nose being a bit on the longer side. Lucia's jaw width is 85.7% compared to her bizygomatic width, which is perfect. And her bitemporal width is also in the ideal range as it is 83%. Her jaw frontal angle is 95 degrees, and this is great as it is in the ideal range. Her cheekbones are also perfectly high set, which is ideal and dimorphic. Lucia's eye separation ratio is also great, as it is 47.4%, but her eyes are spaced slightly more than one eye apart. On the other hand, her canthal tilt is 6 degrees, which is in the ideal range. Lucia's eye aspect ratio is 2.5, which is good and feminine. Her eyebrow low-settedness is 89%, also ideal. Her eyebrow tilt is also perfect at 15 degrees. Lucia's ipsilateral alar angle is 89 degrees, which is great, but it doesn't harmonize well with her jaw frontal angle as the deviation is slightly higher at 5 degrees. Her mouth to nose ratio is 1.45, which is perfect, and her nasal width is also harmonious compared to her bizygomatic width. Moving on to one of her more significant flaws, her chin to philtrum ratio is 1.89, which is lower than ideal. This suggests that her chin is too short. Her neck width is also unideal, as it is only 71% of her begonial width. This is a minor flaw, as it is feminine to have a thin neck. Her lip proportions are 1.6, which is perfect, and her lower third proportion is 34.9%, which is also in the ideal range. These were all the measurements from the front. Now, I want to go back to the topic of the ideal lower third length in women. If you want to continue to the analysis, skip to the timestamp on the screen. According to many face raters, a shorter lower third is ideal for women. In Face IQ Labs, you can see that even 34% is outside of the ideal range, while the lower end of the interval is 29.5%, which I believe is way too low. You will probably never see a top face with a 29% lower third. To better understand this, let's look at some examples. From my experience with analyzing female faces, a face with a lower third of below 31% almost certainly has some type of recession from the side. The examples with attractive faces on this slide illustrate this clearly. This suggests that the assumption of a shorter lower third being ideal may unintentionally favor recessed side profiles. On the other hand, if you look at a few faces with good overall facial development, like the ones on the screen, you'll notice that they rarely have small lower thirds, typically around 33%. This creates a contradiction between two supposed requirements, suggesting that one of them is unnecessary. Since a well-developed lower third is clearly essential, it follows that the requirement for a small lower third should be the flawed one. The most likely reason for this outcome is that the dataset Face IQ used to reach this conclusion is not representative. The selected faces lack sufficient diversity because they largely fall into a single category of attractiveness, namely the neotenous TikTok pretty type. Additionally, faces such as Gio Scotti should not be included, as they do not meet a high enough standard to be considered elite enough to be within the sample. For these reasons, Face IQ's proposed ideal range is skewed toward this specific aesthetic and fails to reflect what is ideal as a whole. For example, in my own analyses, most women rated 8+ have a lower third ranging from approximately 31.6% to 34.8%. Most of them, those who have a lower third in this range, tend to have great facial development, while their dimorphism remains high. Let's move on to her side profile. Lucia's glabella facial convexity is 165 degrees, which is on the lower end of the ideal range, but her total facial convexity is 133 degrees, which is a bit too acute. However, her nation facial convexity is 162 degrees, which is perfect. She isn't recessed relative to the Frankfurt plane, which means that her mandible forward growth is great. Moving on to her jaw, her ramus length is 0.45 of her mandible, which is unideal. Her gonial angle is also slightly obtuse at 127 degrees. However, her mandibular plane angle is 20 degrees, which is perfect. Moving on to her lip assessments, she will fail all of them because of the recessed chin. The other reason is that her lower lip is a bit too protruding, as you can see here with the Steiner line, where the lips should only touch the line without going past it. On the other hand, her nasolabial angle is 98 degrees, which is in the ideal range. However, her nasofrontal angle is 118 degrees, which isn't ideal. This suggests that her brow ridge is a bit too prominent. The next measurement is the nasal convexity, and it is ideal at 26 degrees. Her nasofacial angle is 36 degrees, which is ideal, and her nasomental angle is also perfect at 126 degrees. However, her nasal tip angle is 138 degrees, which is outside of the ideal range. A very minor flaw, her mentolabial angle is 131 degrees, which is too obtuse. This flaw again stems from the fact that her chin is a bit recessed. Lucia's brow ridge inclination is 7 degrees, which is also a flaw. This indicates that her forehead is a bit too flat. On the other hand, her orbital vector is positive, which is preferred as it usually correlates with healthy under eyes. And finally, her gonion is below her mouth line, which is ideal. After looking at every harmony measurement and putting them all together, Lucia Ferrato's facial harmony is 73.8%, which is a great score. Her facial angularity also scored great, as she has great forward growth and prominent cheekbones. However, her chin recession, short and narrow, chin shape from the front, and the lack of OG curve brings her score down to 7.67 out of 10. For her sexual dimorphism, she scored very high, as she's obviously very feminine. Her rounder face shape, doe eyes, and full lips are her strong points, while some minor things like the nose shape bring her down a little bit. So she scores 9 out of 10 for dimorphism. The final criteria is her miscellaneous features score, which is also excellent. She has great under eye support, excellent overall coloring, and plump lips. However, her skin could be more clear, her nose tip is too bulbous, and her eyebrows are a bit asymmetrical, so she accordingly scores 8.22 out of 10 for her features. After covering everything, Lucia Ferrato scores an 8 out of 10, with an accepted range from 7.7 to 8.1. This places her comfortably in the model tier of facial attractiveness and makes her easily one of the most attractive TikTok influencers.